The Chiefs have brought back Charles Omenihu, re-signed, sealed, delivered. He's ours. After an offseason of tweets, deleted tweets, and rumors of Omenihu wanting back in Kansas City, the Chiefs have finally signed veteran defensive lineman JD's guy, who JD spoke to him this year on the sideline during one of the games, to a 1-year deal worth up to $7 million. So pretty much a fully incentivized deal for a guy who, thinks he's one of the best out there. So JD, kind of get right into it. When you saw this deal come in the other day, this is going to be the first year that Omenihu will play from the get-go, from right at the jump. No suspension, no returning from an ACL injury. He's going to be all in from the get-go. And a guy who's on a fully incentivized deal is going to play from week 1, hopefully till the full season. I think he might have a huge year. But what kind of year do you expect from Charles Omenihu, especially when you look at the kind of deal? Because this is when you players talk about betting on themselves, this is that deal.
Yeah, absolutely. For him, the frustration comes in when a guy is doing everything he's doing out there on the football field. He gets hurt while he's doing that. Obviously, the job that sometimes seems like it's unsung. Guys want to be recognized and get paid, and Charles is one of the guys for us. When he first got here, his first year, man, he had a monster year. He missed 6 games, but when he came in, you could tell the difference with his presence. And so I get it. I get it. Played exceptional up until he got to the Super Bowl, where he wasn't able and ended up tearing his ACL, which is just unfortunate because he would have played against his old team, obviously. But pushed on to come on to this past year. Did everything to get back. Ended up coming back, showed his dedication. And when I talked to him out there on the field, man, I could tell he was hungry. You could feel it. You could feel the passion. You could see it in his eyes, man. He just wanted it. And so the Chiefs and others are just sitting there saying, hey, man, wait, just take your time. You're not quite there yet. And so we want to reward you once we know that you're going to be able to last. It's longevity. Obviously, if you don't have a rich, history of injury, which he doesn't. He doesn't have a long injury history. He told me that's the only time he's been hurt. That was it. And it was just unfortunate because if he hadn't gotten hurt, he still had been playing. He played, what he was last year, man, he probably would have got a big contract. And so he has to go back on another prove-it year. But this, for me, without a doubt, man, was a great signing. I think Charles Omenihu was the guy that we needed. He brings a lot to the table. He brings a lot to the team. He brings a lot to the defense, a lot of energy, just a lot of, just his passion of just playing football. And so this is something that we're very fortunate to get him back. And like you said, Marcus, we're going to have him for the entire year. Now he can go ahead and get healthy. Now he needs to get to where he needs to be. And then when he has a chance to compete and go out there and show what he can do, hey, man, this is the perfect opportunity for him. Perfect opportunity. So this is this is a good thing. This is a really good thing for us and him. So
were you surprised? I know when we did our kind of previewing the free agents, like before the offseason began, we talked about Omenihu's number as far as what he could make in the open market. And I think we both thought he was going to get paid a lot more just based on, his versatility. He's healthy. I think we both thought he was going to get paid a lot. And the fact there was no traction on him, we never heard any rumors. He tweeted that he was, excited to finally experience the free agency to its fullest. And then they deleted the tweet, then said some other stuff, deleted that tweets. But the fact that 1 year up to $7 million, I mean, he didn't even get the $7 million exactly. And obviously we hope that he gets the full $7 million because I think he will dominate this year. But were you surprised by that contract and the lack of interest around the league for him?
You know what? And everybody's making the pretty much the point. They're using the injury against him. I mean, that's what they do. And so obviously in business, you're going to try to use every advantage you possibly can not to pay a guy or a person or a company, whatever it may be. And the Chiefs are no different. And so for them, they were sitting there saying, yeah, we like you. We want you to be here. But, how is the knee actually going to be doing? Are you going to regress? What are we actually going to see? And so what they allowed him to do is once it became basically, him able to hit the market, Maybe he wasn't getting the bites he wanted, but we know that's what teams are going to do. They're going to use it against you, and so it's a bargaining tool. That's it. It's a bargaining tool. No player likes it. No player likes it, but sometimes you just gotta take it and understand it. Like, okay, I understand it's not going to be fair. I got to deal with this one more time. Let me go ahead and do this so I can get paid. I've been in those situations before, and so it's are you injured? Okay, you are injured. How much are we going to pay you from this? Are you going, is this going to something that's going to be reoccurring? But I don't like it. But I'm glad that he's coming back because he gets to come back with a vengeance. And I think with a team that he's actually, he prefers to be on. So yeah. So JD, you might have to move to Starlink for residential. Absolutely not. Wow. Yeah, we got some good old reliable stuff here, man. I don't know what happened. I don't know if a glitch and somebody pulled a cord on me. I don't know what it is.
We might have to go to the Signal app to do the live stream the show. Seeing a comment here, I had it up earlier, Buck and Bob. I thought that was a good point from Buck and Bob. Also, the fact that the draft has so many defensive lineman prospects probably hurt as well. It's chock full of DN prospects, edge rushers, and D tackles in this draft class, JD. And we talk about how we kind of want to look at the DT aspect of things, but there's many teams who look at the edges and they're like, you know what, we don't have to spend big money on an edge rusher. We can get a cost control young guy and have him for 4 years and just do that. That definitely hurt. When we talk about the running backs who are available in free agency, there's still a lot of decent ones still out there, and a lot of them haven't been signed yet because this draft class is really good with running backs. So that's hurting a lot of the veterans. And we kind of mentioned that earlier on in the offseason that was going to hurt some veterans.
Well, and the reality is, though, I get that part. I've always said this: the more money you make, the more you become expendable. No question about it. That's how it works. But the difference is you don't quite know what you're going to get in the draft. You don't know what a guy's going to turn into, and so you had to think about different guys that we've drafted before that didn't quite work out, right? Hopefully, it's none of that. Hopefully, that doesn't, that happens to be the case, but it does happen. It does happen. Guys haven't been what we thought it was going to be. FAU, for instance, right? We were thinking FAU was, and it's still early, okay? So everybody on here don't get all upset and, oh, my God, FAU. Look, FAU still got some time to show what he can do, and he's made strides. He has gotten better. And so what we're looking for is one of those breakout years that he figures everything out. But Charles Omenihu, we know what we've got in Charles. His versatility is something that we do covet, somebody that we do find valuable, that he can move from, down for his defensive tackle to defensive end. He can sit back and he can cover. We see him cover guys also too in zone. But a young guy coming in, he still might have to be groomed. Still don't know what we're going to get out of it. So this is it's one of those things that's a crapshoot, Marcus. But with $7 million up to $7 million, I think for a veteran that has been productive, I think it's worth it. So,
yeah, as far as FAU, I think I will say I think the clock is kind of ticking on him, and I think we talk about this D-line prospect draft. We probably will draft maybe a DT and a D end. We both agree it will be a DT for sure, but FAU we need to see something soon. The clock is ticking. It's not expired yet, but the clock is ticking on FAU.
Well, it is. So I'm gonna say this, okay? Because when I was looking over some of my film over all these defensive tackles, I started doing a deep dive on a lot of these guys that's being drafted. Okay, I had a chance to do some of that a little bit last night, and I was started wondering. I'm like, okay, are we wrong on some of these guys that we drafted? And so you know how they show on YouTube these guys highlights and all these different right highlights is everybody's best plays, and and so I started looking around, and these defensive tackles, these defensive ends that all these scouts and these analysts and these draft trackers and all of these professionals doing it, they're making decisions based off measurement, how they played. But you got to there's a lot of different things that you had to take into account too. The competition you played against, Who was he actually going after? When I start seeing a guy, and I'll say this, when I see a guy dominating like maybe just one game, I'm like, okay, this is your highlight. So he's going against the Sister Marys of the poor, okay? Who's taking international finance that he's going against. This guy, he ain't going to the NFL. This guy just happened to be on the team. And he's out there getting reps, and this guy's he's getting his tail kicked by this guy. Well, it looks great. It looks like he should be a first-round pick, but maybe he isn't. Maybe talent doesn't necessarily warrant being a high draft pick, okay? So that takes into consideration. So the reason I say that is I went back and I looked at FAU's highlight reel. Looked at all the stuff they put on. Everybody got like 5 different highlight reels, best plays and stuff in college. And, man, FAU looked like the real deal. I'm not a Kansas State fan. I didn't watch him in college as much. Yeah, and I told you, I'm not really a college football fan. Okay, if everybody don't know this, I'm not really a college football fan. So many teams out there, and I just know I'm more on the skill level when I watch it on the NFL. So that's kind of where I'm at. And also being a coach is a little bit different. When I coached in college, so everything he showed in college, I'm just like, man, this should translate it easily to the NFL. Easily. He was whooping guys like Wanye Morris and all those guys we were sitting there that we have on our team. And so when we're looking at him now, I'm trying to figure out, what is it? Is it our defensive scheme? Maybe. Is it something that he's just not able to produce like he did in college? What is it that's slowing him down? And when I'm just looking at it, I'm like, man, this doesn't make any sense. Where he is now, the amount of years he's had, he should be able to make an impact, okay? Now, I'll say this. He has gotten better. And sometimes it is figuring things out. And it is like, look, I get you might be somebody from Oklahoma in college. But when you get here and you got to go against a Larry Tunsil and somebody like that, it's a little bit different guy. I'm serious. And so I want everybody to understand this about the skill set and the talent that's in the NFL. It's just a whole different level, and people need to understand that. And so we see all the time, all guy runs, a 4-5. He looks great against, Keyshawn Junkins is running through the whole defense and stuff like that. That's what you mark as like. But the thing is, will these things translate to the NFL? There's a guy that I like. Running back, okay? Ollie Gordon. I like Ollie Gordon a lot. Okay, 6'2", 225, 230 pounds. Animal, absolute animal. I heard y'all talking about somebody look like Larry Johnson. He reminds me more of Larry Johnson than anybody else, okay? And I'm talking about his speed and whatnot and what he did last year compared to this past year. And I said it comes into context because maybe the line wasn't as great as it was his sophomore and junior year. Well, now when teams are keying on him, running the football, he's not as productive. But going to my point that I'm making is this, that sometimes some of these guys that's coming into the league, you don't quite know what you're going to get. You have first rounders all the time. That's why you see teams now still looking for quarterbacks. There's quarterbacks on there. Who's it? J.J. McCarthy. He's like, they didn't tell me I was going to be. They didn't give me the job yet. Well, you're supposed to take the job. It's supposed to be yours. Nobody has to hand that to you. You're a first round pick for a reason. You was a high pick for a reason. Why? Because they said you was a man. And so what you have to do is you got to embrace it. You got to take it by storm. Same thing like Xavier Worthy. I don't care what you say, Marcus. 4.3 is 4.3 anywhere you go. 4.2, whatever it is he ran. Okay? Can you play within the NFL offense, be NFL defenders, cornerbacks, and all of those that you see on Sunday? Is the key. That's the question. He was able to show it. I'm thinking FAU should be able to show that right now. We've seen George Kalafis come and do it. So we see other guys been able to do it on the offensive side of the ball. FAU might just need a little bit more time. You might just need a little bit more time. Same thing we're going to talking about Sky Moore. Everybody hates when I bring up Sky Moore. Sky Moore looks great running routes and stuff right now. He's had some bad issues with drops or maybe, route running, whatever it may be. Okay. Injuries too. Hopefully this is his breakout year that he figures it out. It may take some guys longer than others. But in the meantime, what you do is you go get a Hollywood Brown to get up to $11 million or whatever his thing was, right? You go get a Juju Smith-Schuster while you're here because you're still waiting on for a guy to figure it out. You go get Charles Omenihu. You go sign another Mike Pennell back and you go get we just got the
Tillery.
Just getting Tillery here because guys are still trying to figure it out. And so what I know is this: you still lean on veterans because veterans have shown they can play against this type of competition because it's necessary. It's necessary, and it's necessary for them to show the way. So, all right.
And then you draft young guys to push you because if you're not getting the job done, someone's going to take your spot.
They're going to take your spot. That's the way it works. And I'm telling you, what gives a guy more incentive than anything else is try to take food off their table. You watch how things happen. You watch how a guy turns into a different dude all the way around. Now, he's either going to sink or swim. That's the way it works. That's how it goes in the NFL. And so it's all about production, baby. It's all about production. Please, JD, let Shy Moore go. Please. No, I'm not going to do it, the barbershop. I'm not going to do it. Not right now. Not while he's on our squad. We still got him here. I still got hope for it. Okay. I'm an optimistic guy. Okay. I know his pain. I know his battle. And I said this before. I've been there. I was, I call myself a high pick, second round pick with Philadelphia. Had 2 knee injuries. It hurt me a lot. And so I had to regulate to being a blocking tight end. So I wasn't that guy anymore where I could stretch the field. Now, I can still catch the football. But one thing I know how to do, if I had to run down that field, I could always put these meat hooks on a joker. I knew that. Okay. Strong as an ox. Okay. More durable than a bull. Powerful. I'm telling you, that was my forte. If I got my hands on you, then we're going to have us an issue. So, but I'm still pulling for him, Shot. Come on, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I think the point you made is great. It's like you're not giving up on him, but you're making sure you get a lot of guys who are, if he doesn't, this year 4, he doesn't, make that stride. Well, that's fine because we have Hollywood Brown and we have Juju. If Sky Moore's not going to be that guy, so
yeah. So what you said, I get that, JD. I remember being so upset with Trav because he just could not hold on to the ball. That's. You know what, Witchy? That's the reality. I know another guy that went through that. His name was Tony Gonzalez. So we're talking about the best tight ends that ever played a game. Tony had the drops. He was sitting there saying he was a bust. And all he did is he went back to work. That's what he did. And he had to prove to himself, not just the fans, but to himself as well, that he is able to do this job. Because sometimes it takes you just got to prove yourself that. You're going to get all the boos and stuff out there, man. I'm so thankful. And that we didn't have social media when I played. Okay? Played up in Philly was bad in itself, all right? Because you hear on radio, you couldn't miss it. You couldn't miss it. But now, dude, them jokers is on your neck everywhere you go. It don't matter. So, and you let those things in, that's even worse. But Tony went to work. Now all of a sudden, you see my all-time, greatest ever, right? Travis Kelce, like you said, now right there in the talk of the GOAT, right? Everybody's talking about Tony. Well, we had the 2 best, greatest tight ends ever to play the game that had the dropsies and had a problem and an issue, but they went to work to change all of that. So, Kenny Flynn, what's up for sure, JD? Yes, sir, my brother. So,
yeah. Moral of the story, give these guys some time, even though if we do think, some of these guys, that time is expiring on some of them, FAU. But give them some time. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.